back to my channel. So we're going to pick up where we left off and do this is professional competencies, AMTA. This is what I'm following, this document, and I'm starting here at therapy evaluations. I think I talked a little too fast during the last video. I just put Vaseline on my face, that's why it's all like shiny. But I'll try to slow down. We're almost done, so I'm a little excited. That's why I might start talking fast again. But anyway, we're going to dive in here. This is therapy evaluation. And evaluation is 6 questions. And you have to remember that, like, this is professional competencies, but then there's other competencies that is going to be sort of the learning objective of the exam. Okay, so like anytime you get a question, you want to back up the information from these, like a learning objective. That's how you're going to find the best possible answer. So here we go. Therapy evaluation. This is in the music therapy section. It's 14. So 14.1, design and implement methods for evaluating and measuring client progress and the efficientness of therapeutic strategies. So again, each place has their own way of assessment. I mean, I can leave in the description box. There were a couple students from Temple that actually created a pretty good assessment process, but every facility has their own way of assessment, whether it's good or bad, but you'll be told what to do, just to let you guys know. And if not, I'll leave in the description down below a method. So establish and work within realistic time frames for evaluating the assessment of music therapy. Thank God. Anyone watching? Has anyone watched that movie? Oh, it's named after a Grateful Dead song. It's on Amazon Prime. That movie, okay, like I understand that it like talks about music therapy, and I understand that your woman's a music therapist and blah blah blah, but like, oh my God, that movie was horrible. Like, it was not correct, it was not accurate, and now I'm getting passionate. But the reason why I'm telling you guys this is because that's what people think music therapy is. Like in the movie, this music therapist or whatever she was, a music person, I guess, because she definitely wasn't a therapist. She put on a record, like, and then the client all of a sudden like came to life, because he was like dead, and then he like came to, he wasn't actually dead, but like there was no affect, and then he came to life. And it's like, no, that is not how it works, okay? It takes clients 6 months to a year to really like experience the music therapy effects. So you're not going to get that response. You're definitely not going to get that response playing no record. That movie was a good movie, but music therapy should not be in the hashtag of that movie. Music should be in the hashtag, not music therapy, because it is not music therapy. I hated that movie, just to let you guys know. Anyway, so establish the realistic time. So you want to do 6 months to a year. 3 months if it's like, maybe like a year and 3 months if the client's like almost to their goal but not actually. And when it comes to like measuring goals, it's 8 out of 10. So like they have, out of 10 sessions, they have to meet the objective 10 times, or no, out of 10 sessions, they need to meet the objective 8 times. It has to be an 8 out of 10 ratio. And again, that's like something that facilities usually speak of. Recognize significant changes and patterns in the client's response to therapy. Yes, you will probably notice those like a month, 2 months, 3 months. You'll notice like changes, and the client will get to know you, and then things will be a lot better. Recognize and respond appropriately to situations in which there are clear and present dangers to clients and to others. Yes, I have a story time about this one. One time I had a client, and this was a medication issue. The client went into a seizure during the session, and you know, when you go into a, and I was an intern, okay, so like when a client goes into a seizure, you need to make sure that everyone is moved out of the way so they don't like hit anybody or harm themselves. So that's what I did, but I didn't time the seizure, and that's like important. Of course, I didn't know what to do at the time because I was a student, but just to let you guys know, you need to make sure that you know how to respond appropriately to when things like that happen. I don't know how much of the story you heard because it's kind of loud outside. Modified treatment approaches based on the client's response to therapy. Yes, again, once you get to know the client a little bit more, you'll be able to modify accordingly. Review and revise treatment plan as needed. So the best way to actually review and revise treatment plans, I hate this method, but it works, is journaling. In school, we used to like journal all the time after a session, and I always hated it at the time because I was like, oh, the session already ended, like why do you care, you know? Move on. But like, no, you need to go over what you did, you know? Why did it work? You know, did you express more emotion? You know, did you play different instruments? Did you play certain songs? Were you in a good mood? So journaling, actually, like personal reflection in that way after sessions is the best way to sort of review and revise a treatment plan. If you're an intern or a practicum student, you can always ask your supervisor as well. So next one, 15, is documentation. People, you get paid for documentation, okay? Documentation should be about 30 to 40%. That's what I say in the music therapy realm, okay? So if you go to a place and they don't provide you 30 to 40% of the time doing documentation, if they don't pay for documentation, don't go to that facility. So documentation, produce documentation that accurately represents client outcomes and meet the requirements internally and externally. So again, the best way to document is to do objective documentation and just to say what you see. Oh, I saw the client play a maraca. I saw the client dance. I saw the client sing. No, like, oh, I saw the client sing and he looked happy. Oh, the client really likes this song. So I saw him dance. Like, oh, this song reminded him of choir. So I saw him singing. Like, none of that stuff. It's like I saw him singing, I saw him playing, I saw him dancing, whatever. You just need to be very, very objective about it. And then you can go into the clinical response as to why it worked or why. Like, oh, this song is similar to our choir song. So there was a cognitive connection occurring. You know, like, and then, because using language that sort of is more treatment implemented, medical, like the insurance companies love that stuff, and higher ups of companies love that stuff too. So that's why it's always good to be objective and then kind of add like a little clinical diagnoses as to why, and people eat that stuff up, and then you'll get paid fairly for documentation. Document clinical data. Write professional reports describing the client through all phases of the music therapy process. And yes, it even says it here. Accurate, concise, and an objective manner. Man, am I smart. Efficiently communicate orally and in writing with client and client team members. Yeah, you always want to communicate it in both ways because you think that these people who work in, I work in healthcare and I worked in a long-term care facility as a music therapist, and you would think that these people are smart, but no. The medical professionals, the nurses, the doctors, the PAs, the NPs, they're the smart ones. All the other people you work with are dumb, like real dumb. So you really need to like explain it to them orally and written, and they're going to be even worse. Like, I've sometimes felt like these people didn't listen to me when I wrote things down because I was young. Again, so if you're a young music therapist, you really need to communicate in both ways because people aren't going to respect you. They're going to think you're like fresh out of college and naive. You can't be naive and be a music therapist. See what I'm talking about? These people are dumb. Document and revise treatment plan. Develop and use data gathering techniques during all phases of the clinical process. Yeah. And again, the facility will probably explain to you how to document and how to, like, figure out if the client is meeting the objective. And then if not, I'll leave stuff down below. Okay, next one, 16, termination and discharge. So, like, I don't know, I didn't really do much termination in music therapy at my long-term care facility, of course. When I worked in the emergency room, well, I wore a lot of hats. So again, I did termination, discharge, but like not as a music therapist. I did it from a clinical standpoint. So, but I'm going to read this stuff off to you guys anyway. Assess potential benefits and determinants of termination of music therapy. Develop and implement music therapy termination plan. Integrate music therapy termination plan with plans for client discharge. Inform and prepare the client for appropriate termination of music therapy. Establish closure of music therapy services by time of termination. Yeah, and that's all. So termination in real life, usually the family will pull the client out of music therapy because they can't afford it, they don't think it's working, they don't like the facility. Usually the termination is not because of you, okay? Let's just put that out there, because it's going to seem like, it's going to feel like it was your fault, but it was not your fault. It's usually because of money. It's usually because of the politics of the facility. So that's what ended up happening. I think I wrote maybe like 3 termination reports of clients when I worked in a long-term care facility, and the reason why was because, well, one, the family couldn't afford the facility, and then the other 2 were because the family didn't like the facility and they wanted their person to go somewhere else. So when I wrote my termination sessions, it like the client was already done, and I was just writing the termination after the fact for that like paperwork closure. I didn't actually do a termination session. In the emergency room, again, we did like a check-in, but again, like all my termination stuff, it was more paperwork, like sign off on this, sign off on that, you know, type of thing. It wasn't necessarily like a music therapy termination. But obviously, if you're terminating anything, you want to make sure that the client is prepared mentally accordingly, because you don't want them to freak, because they do end up freaking out if music therapy stops. Like when I was intern, obviously my internship stopped, and then the clients like freaked. So you definitely want to make sure that you prepare them for your termination, because that's probably what's going to happen prior to theirs, just to let you guys know. Alright, so we're almost done. So professional roles and ethics. Ethics are so important. Interpret and adhere to the AMTA Code of Ethics. I actually agree with the AMTA. I say no to the man. I say no to AMTA. No, I'm just kidding. But, no, but I do say no to the man. But the AMTA Code of Ethics is one of the things that I actually do stand by. Adhere to the standard clinical practice. That's, again, something I stand by. Demonstrate dependability. Follow through with all tasks regarding education and professional training. I did that. Accept criticism and feedback with willingness and follow through in a productive manner. So, for me, and I'm just gonna say, I did a video on this. I'm a musician. I'm used to hearing, what is it called? Constructive criticisms. I'm used to it. And I do take it very seriously, but I don't take criticism seriously when they're not accurate. And I did a video about this. As like a new employee, people are going to end up taking advantage of you and think that they can walk all over you and think that they can critique you on things they can't critique you on. give you a little anecdote. I had a recreation therapy supervisor who did not know what music therapy was, and she started critiquing my sessions even though she didn't know what music therapy was. So in that regard, like, you need to in one ear out the other, and then ask somebody that actually knows, and that's what I ended up doing. But if it's like, if you're an intern, if you're a practicum student, if your like supervisor is a music therapist, and they give you valuable feedback, then take it, you know. But people are going to try to walk all over you, so that's why just be careful. Know who those people are. Resolve conflicts in a positive and constructive manner. Yes, this is another one. My recreation therapy supervisor, one time she was mad at me because, like, my intern was coming in that day. I don't really understand, and she yelled at me in front of everybody at the water cooler, and it was so horrible and embarrassing. And like, in that certain, obviously that was a conflict, obviously I was mad at her. So then later in the day, I like met with her in her office, and I told her that it was very inappropriate and it made me feel, you know, incompetent, and I'm not incompetent, and whatever the case may be. But the point that I'm trying to make is that when you have a conflict, you do not want to yell at people in front of everybody at the water cooler, okay? Or in the break room, which is what she did. Learn from her. She wasn't a very smart person, so learn from her mistakes. Don't yell at people at work in front of everybody. If you have a problem with somebody at work, bring them into the office. Bring them into your office. Go to their office. Write them a note. I've done that a couple of times where I've written notes if I had a conflict with somebody at work. And again, people are going to be mad at you because music therapists are wonderful individuals. We have reached that self-actualization stamina point. We're very smart. We're very good at what we do. And people are going to be mad when they see some 21-year-old coming in here with a guitar. All the clients love her. Everybody thinks she's the prettiest person at work, and people are going to get jealous, especially people that are older. Remember what I always say, you know, the next generation, we're coming. We're coming for your jobs, we're coming for your starter husbands, and that's what people think. Is it true? In my case, it's true. Anyway, meet deadlines without prompting. That's an obvious one. Express thoughts and personal feelings in a constructive manner. I told you guys how to explain that if you have issues at work. Demonstrate critical self-awareness of strengths and weaknesses. I didn't really do very well with I know my weaknesses: foreign language, history, art, but I didn't talk to people about it because everybody wanted to like eat me alive, as it was at my first job. No one really liked me there. Demonstrate knowledge of and respect diverse cultural backgrounds. Yes, especially like with Black Lives Matter, Juneteenth, George Floyd. It's really important to make sure that everybody is on the same page, and that you know that you're there to support one another, especially when something like that happens in the world. And then you come to work together. Treat all persons with dignity and respect, regardless of differences. I think as a music therapist, we can't really be racist, because then we wouldn't really be good music therapists. Demonstrate skills in working and cultural diverse populations. Adhere to all laws and regulations regarding human rights and confidentiality. That's for sure, right? HIPAA. Demonstrate the ability to locate information on regulatory issues and to respond to calls for action affecting music therapy practices. So, like, I had a lot of issues at my first job where people didn't understand music therapy. People didn't really respect me as a music therapist and my ideas. So I did reach out to several music therapists, and I asked, you know, what should I, this is the situation, what should I do, how should I go about this, what's your facility like? And remember, like, as a music therapist, you have music therapy friends. I think that that's like a beautiful thing about majoring in music in college, is because it's like an immediate connection, and you can reach out to these individuals. I have plenty of times. Then we have demonstrate basic knowledge of professional music therapy organizations and how these organizations influence clinical practices. I'm doing that right now. Demonstrate basic knowledge of music therapy reimbursement and financial sources. Okay, this one gets me kind of hype because I am certified in billing and coding, and I do pre-authorizations for insurance companies. Of course, we have Medicare and Medicaid. Everybody gets those mixed up. Then there's state and local health. Again, it really depends on your state. Then we have private health insurance and then education agencies. Medicare and Medicaid are the ones that most people get a little mixed up. As a music therapist, you don't really have to do billing and coding, but if you know it, like then you're really an asset. So maybe I'll do a video on Medicare versus Medicaid and music therapy billing and coding. It's really not that hard, to be honest, to grasp, but it's always important to explain. Adhere to clinical and ethical standards and laws when utilizing technology in any professional capacity. Yeah, you probably won't be able to use your phone to record something. You're probably going to have to use the company iPad or the company camera. That's what I did. That's why in my internship, all of my videos are at my internship. Okay, so we have interpersonal collaboration, INTER, which means it's between two people. Demonstrate a basic understanding of professional roles and duties and develop working relationships with other disciplines in treatment programs. I often kind of went to the speech therapist whenever there was like a time to like co-treat. I liked working with speech therapists the best. And then at my internship, I worked with a couple of physical therapists. Those were the two, I guess, disciplines that I felt like benefited the client. And you have to remember acquired brain injury. So it depends on the population. Communicate with other departments and staff staff music therapy services and the role of the music therapist. I talked about this before. So like when it comes to, so here's the thing is, ideally it would be great if we could have 2 music therapists and 2 speech therapists in a room of 7 clients. But financially that's not like feasible at some places. So if you want to do a co-lead session, it's always good to like advertise 1 music therapist, 1 speech therapist, and then 2 CNAs, or 1 music therapist, the intern, 1 physical therapist, the intern. So like then you can prove to the company that they're actually making more money, and it's more, I guess it's more financially feasible to have this type of session, because you're charging the clients for 2 different types of therapy, and then you're paying 2 individuals the big bucks, and then you're paying less or not paying at all the other 2 individuals assisting. So like that's the way that I market doing a co-treat. But again, you have to be flexible, because a lot of times companies can't pay for like 2 music therapists in a room with clients. Like it would balance out financially, and sometimes it would make you go into the red. So keep that in mind. But if I always suggest having like a therapist and then a CNA or an intern or a practicum student. That always gets like the business to sort of think about a co-treat in a better, more financially feasible way. And listen, money talks. So if the money says yes, then the answer is yes. Okay, we did that one. Collaborate with team members and design and implement interdisciplinary treatment program. Again, like I always found it easy to work with speech therapists. PT, that was kind of, if it was like a new PT and they didn't know physical therapy, or they didn't know music therapy, it was kind of difficult. But like if it was a physical therapist that like was working at the facility, working with music therapists, they kind of understood. But like when you go into those meetings, remember that you have to advocate what music therapy is. Okay? because they probably won't know. But don't act like, oh, since you don't know, like, be like, okay, so I just want to let you know that, I'm going to be doing this for this goal. What do you think? Like, present it that way. Supervision and administration. Okay. I'm going to finish this up. Participate in and benefit from multiple forms of supervision. I didn't know this, but like, you could actually pay people to supervise you as a music therapist at your facility. Does anyone do that? Like, I don't think so. But participate in and benefit from forms of supervision. Technically, we can consider this a form of supervision. There's podcasts about music therapy, right? And I told you guys that I reach out to my college friends very frequently about music therapy. Manage and maintain music therapy equipment and supplies. Yes, you should have like a list. I actually have a financial list of everything that's necessary, second phase, third phase of materials. And then if you're in charge, like at my old job, I was in charge of the supplies. Then you can mark down what it is and like keep in mind how many maracas you have, because those types of things go missing. Perform administrative duties required. So here it says scheduling therapy, which that wasn't ever my job, but it happens. Then budgeting, that was my job. Like I told you, I have first tier of items, second tier of items, third tier of items for a music therapy session. And then maintain records. Don't put your records on Google Docs, okay? Because like that's a huge HIPAA thing. Figure out some other way. And you can do Word, but don't do Office 360 because that's another Office 365. That's another HIPAA thing. And then write proposals or to create a new or maintain an existing music therapy program. I already did that. Research. Yes, this is my favorite. Of course, this is my favorite category. Interpret information in professional research literature. If you're like me and I'm in college, well, I'm in graduate school, I have access to the lovely University of Miami's library, and you know that they do research all the time, and they have a wonderful music therapy department. So yes, I read research a lot. You can also, if you're a member, you get the journals. Make sure your parents know, if you're getting those journals sent to your house, like at home, make sure your parents know, because my mom ended up putting my music therapy journals in the bathroom when I first joined the association. So make sure that they know and they don't do that. Demonstrate basic knowledge and purpose of historical, quantitative, and qualitative research. Again, your public library also has resources too. A lot of people forget that. Perform a database research search. I just told you, use the public library. Integrate the best available research, music therapy, expertise, the needs, values, and preferences of individuals served. Yeah, like don't hesitate to reach out to us music therapists. We've probably already been there, done that. We gotta stick together, friends. So that was all of the professional competencies. We got a couple more things to go through, but I'm gonna do it in another video. So, see you guys later. Bye!